Okay, wait, hold on. This doesn't seem to be. How do I switch this between the two of us automatically? Okay, talk.
Hello.
Oh, there you are. Okay, good. Hey, when Fuller House comes out, you want to make riff tracks for it?
Yeah, I'll do it.
Okay, cool. I think that.
Science 3000.
Yeah, right. I think though that's something that we should do on location. We'll fly in business trip. We'll write it off.
If somehow we could go to be part of the live studio audience and do it then.
I think it's already been recorded.
No.
No.
I don't know for certain.
No, I have no idea. John Stamos wants it to be recorded. Actually, I can't. I'm looking forward to watching his new show. Okay, hold on. Let me hit the button. We're going to start the show.
Hey, and while you're doing that, I am going to figure out why I have black bars around my thing.
Oh, should I stop the broadcast?
No, it'll be fine. I'll figure it out.
Okay, 3, 2, 1.
You're listening to The Weigh-In with Mike Parson.
What are you cackling at, fatty? Too much pie, that's your problem.
And Fred Slow.
Anybody want a peanut?
On demand 24/7 at weightinradio.com.
Well, Fred, it seems like Mark Zuckerberg is about to unleash a scourge onto humanity.
Do downvotes offset upvotes?
Well, see, you're thinking of Twitter terminology. On Facebook, as many people know, it's a vague timeline, but they are in fact planning on launching a dislike button.
They should. It's about time.
No, it's a terrible idea. You know why, Fred?
Socialism?
No. Oh. I'm only half joking when I post on Twitter that our fragile psyches can't handle a dislike button. I don't think we're ready for it. And I think it's going to flood humanity with a wave of negativity. See, everybody wants a dump button because they think of what they would do with a dump button, but they never think about what would happen when the dump button is used against them.
There are certain situations, Mike, life, unlike your life, Mike, for most of our listener, not everything is roses and peaches and sunsets. There are times in your life that deserve a dislike button, like, hey, had to put the dog down, or hey, got a flat tire, or hey, it's hockey season.
Well, and that's Facebook's rationale as to why they are launching the dislike button. And you're right, Fred. You know, there's a lot of times people will post something about, hey, you know, my father just lost his long battle, and people will like it. It's like, you sick bastards. But and we're obviously already well into this, but it's just diminishing our ability to communicate and express ourselves. If somebody posts something on Facebook, I don't know, try saying something to them instead of posting an emoji.
No, I'm not disagreeing. Oh, and by the way, GIFs are in. Did you see that?
What, on Facebook? I've seen GIFs.
No, yeah, well, no, Facebook just passed them. They'll play in your scroll thing.
Oh, well, that sounds annoying.
No, that's a big deal. Now I can get all like 5 or 6 political GIFs that I need for like the next year.
You know, the internet, you know, Facebook and Twitter. Well, this has sort of been the evolution of our decline. Okay, Fred. First, there was LiveJournal, and people would write long, thought-out sentences, paragraphs, and then it got reduced to 140 characters or less. Now it's a like or an unlike. Now, instead of people thinking of something thoughtful to say for someone's on someone's birthday, they just post a meme because I can't think of anything clever to say. Here's a meme of a fat guy eating cake, wishing you a happy birthday. And I think that the dislike button is just gonna, instead of me saying, "Hey, Fred, you know, I'm very sorry. I'm very sorry that your cat ate grass and died," I just give it a dislike.
No, you're kind of not really understanding the whole point behind this thing, Mike.
Yes, I am.
No, the dislike button is there for one sole reason: when I dislike something. Okay.
Yeah. Well. Yeah, but you know what? You know what's going to happen, Fred? The first time you post, and I'm not talking about you specifically, I'm talking about society as a whole. The first time you post something and you get a dislike on it, you're going to fall apart.
No, I can handle it. People have been telling me I suck for a long time.
And for you, it might be easier because because it's just a dislike. It's a vague dislike, so they're not being more specific. But when it comes to showing empathy to another human being, this is just further reducing us to a series of grunts and moans and maybe some facial expressions as the way we communicate with each other.
I'm not saying you're wrong. Well, I'm not saying you're right, Mike. I think I'm going to be able to utilize this tool in a way. Wait, does it affect what I see on a feed?
See, that's what I'm wondering too. I'm wondering if you mentioned upvotes and downvotes, like Reddit. They have that system that they lifted from Dig.com after Dig.com was hijacked by a bunch of online marketers. Yeah, where the stuff people like gets upvoted, stuff they dislike gets downvoted, and you move to the top of the front page depending on how many more upvotes you have than downvotes. I'm not sure if you dislike something, that'll show up more or less in your feed. That's a very good question.
Yeah, and obviously I don't have the answer. Like, I don't know, but whenever I'm like exploring, like finding out, that's going to be an exciting time for me, because I'm going to be like, what's like a good example? Hey, just went through, I don't know, like your favorite drive-through restaurant, right? You're like, and didn't get like my extra ranch sauce, and then I'll be like, yeah, I mean that does suck, but I agree that it sucks. So is that like an upvote, or is that like I don't know which. What response will I have to like getting the wrong meal at McDonald's?
Well, think of it this way, Fred. You are big on live tweeting television events.
Love it.
And I know that you spend a lot of time and give a lot of thought to what you post. What if you post something that you think is the absolute best thing you've ever thought of? The funniest, most well-crafted joke. And you're doing it during the VMAs. It gets 27 likes and 1 dislike. Now you, Fred, you have no shame. You have no soul. But what about the rest of the delicate human beings out there? That's where I think that the dislike button will be damaging to our psyche.
I hear what you're saying, but I think the argument is, and don't get me wrong if I don't have it correct, you have to have the dislike. Otherwise, like it is now, it's just like a gigantic circle jerk. So like for instance, like right-wing conservative news.facebook, they put out their whatever story and it gets 100 million likes and 50,000 shares. Well, now it can get 100 million likes, 50,000 shares, and 100 million dislikes.
Actually,
the time is now.
Fred, and you are onto something. I do see the one practical application of this thing being to let somebody know when they're being a jackass. And you're right. People post all this veiled racist stuff that they see as taking a stand. Like I don't know, the Patriot, the Liberty Patriot Online Gazette post a rage article about why does President Barack Obama get to be black while the rest of us get to be white? And yeah, you see a bunch of likes. Sometimes you want to make a comment, but you're like, look, I don't feel like arguing with racists. So yes, maybe the dislike button. Hopefully there'll be a lot more dislikes than likes. But and that's the only practical application I can see for this. But I still see it being used for evil much more than it is used for good. Much like anything on the internet.
I'm going to show you a couple scenarios, Mike. Ready?
Yeah, let's hear them.
The kid I grew up with from down the block, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I haven't talked to him in 15 years. It's him and his baby, and the baby's maybe 8 or 9, and they're both flipping off the camera in a selfie.
Is the baby ugly?
Well, I mean, it's like an 8-year-old baby that's flipping off a camera with its parent that is obviously super trashy. So
right.
am I able to, at that point, just throw a dislike out there? Because that's a tough one for me.
Well, are you enjoying the picture of the baby flicking off the camera, or would you like to societally correct the transgression?
Okay, I mean, yes, I want it corrected. So I'm going to then drop a dislike, right?
Okay, fine. You know what? In that case, yes, the dislike would be appropriate.
Well, then I don't see a downside to it. I hear your argument, but I feel like I'm going to use it for the greater good.
Well, and And you're the exception to the rule, because here's the thing, Fred. Deep down inside, people are awful, and people feel most comfortable behind their smartphone screen or behind a keyboard. So look, the like button is positive. The like button is used for evil. So what's the dislike button going to do? Let me throw this scenario at you, Fred. Okay? Say that it's 15 years in the future, and Manfred Jr. goes out for the junior high basketball team. He's not the greatest athlete, but he's got a lot of heart, and the coach likes his hustle. And it's between him and one other kid who's a little more talented, but he doesn't hustle enough. And then you get the great news that Manfred Jr. is going to be the third string power forward on the junior varsity team.
About time.
You get a bunch of likes, then you get the one dislike.
Ooh, from like little Johnny's dad.
Yeah, because little Johnny's dad's a real dick. Now, granted, this is putting the fact that little Johnny's dad is a dick on display. But, people who aren't as secure in themselves, that's really going to bother. That one dislike, I bet you it's going to be a 51-1 scenario. To cancel out that one dislike, you're going to have to get 50 likes.
I'm telling. There is this old sci-fi story, Mike, right? Where society is grown in such a way where there are people who have laser beams and there are people who have like shielded chests that can't be killed by laser beams. So once you give society a choice to be able to kill people or able to never be killed, they don't kill people. No one chooses laser beams. No one wants to. And I'm saying we give this power to the billion users on Facebook, and they will not abuse it, Mike. So people will come together and they'll make the right decision to not downvote your wedding photos. I promise, Mike. I promise you that.
Does Mark Zuckerberg pay you to spread his propaganda, or do you do it for free?
Hey, but realistically, this whole thing's fucked. I can't even play counterpoint to this thing, Mike. It's screwed. This is the worst decision in Facebook history. It's going to get teenage kids are going to just fall apart, man. This is just awful. This is literally the worst idea all time.
Well, and I'm wondering if Mark Zuckerberg is making this move just to show us. Because if you think about it, Mark Zuckerberg, he's kind of like a god now, isn't he? I mean, Facebook is our life. Facebook's our identity. And he is the man. He is the creator, and he is the omnipotent final decision maker. And, all of us down here on Facebook Earth has been praying to the Zuckerberg God, saying, "Oh, holy Zuckerberg, thou art going to give us a dislike button." And in his wisdom, he said, "You can't handle it."
No,
well,
he said, "Soeth was asked, and soeth was denied." Because
right.
You ever see A Few Good Men? Tom Cruise says, "I want the truth." Well, unfortunately, Facebook community, you cannot handle the truth. This is gonna be bad. Because what's gonna happen is my guy friend, whoever he is, so my very good friend is going to dislike my wife's something, and she's gonna ask me about it. Why did so-and-so dislike my photo? And now I'm talking about it over dinner, and everything is ruined at home because of you, Mark Z.
Pretty much the dislike button is going to get you divorced.
Oh, everyone will be divorced. And then whenever you post your divorce selfie, guess what? You'll get up likes. So now everything's good in your life.
I would say that the dislike button is a threat to the sanctity of marriage.
I dislike the dislike button.
Me too. How can I do it? Yeah. Hey, dislike button. How about we dislike you? See how that feels.
That'll teach them. Lousy Facebook.
We got to take a quick break. It's the Weigh-In, weightinradio.com, caveradiobroadcasting.com. I can't believe we did a whole segment on the dislike button.
I couldn't come with a single reason to support it. It's terrible.
No, you were good. I actually believe that you supported it.
How can it's going to be the end of Facebook.
I know. Absolutely. Yeah, Fred, you can agree with me. I mean, especially when I'm right. Because I'm not gonna take a counterpoint if you and I agree.
This 30-second conversation right now is the reason to watch the video.
Yeah. People.
Right. No one's gonna get this on Stitcher.
No. Watch our online content. I guess it's all online content, but you know what I mean. Okay, why don't you go ahead and quarterback this one here, Fred?
All right. Do you have anywhere you want me to go with it? Because I'm gonna go to the clock bomb.
Yeah, that's good. That was actually next on my list, so that's perfect. It's 6:40. I got 6:43, so what? 58. We'll take our next break. Oh, you know what? I got it. Let me hit the imaging. Hold on.
Now, back to the weigh-in.
Thank you so much for saying what needed to be said.
WeighInRadio.com.
It's still real to me, damn it.
So, anyways, Mike, that's why you don't say 2 or 1, right? What a crazy story.
Last time I do that.
Hey, check your privilege, bro. Okay, just check your privilege right now, because
Yeah,
you can build your own homemade clock, and you can take that homemade clock to your Institute of Learning, and you're not going to end up arrested and on the cover of CNN.
Being a white man in America, it's like being born on third and thinking you hit a double, but you were screwed out of the double.
It's such a terrific analogy.
Thank you. Well, I do that. As a white man in America, I received the best education that allows my critical thinking skills to come up with analogies like that.
Ben Folds said it best when he said, "Y'all don't know what it's like being male, middle class, and white." When Ahmed Muhammad, talk about profiling, went to his high school in Irving, Texas Monday, he was so excited, a teenager with dreams of becoming an engineer at MIT. He wanted to show his teacher the digital clock he made from a pencil case. Yikes.
This kid's MacGyver. This kid's amazing.
Well, he's like the Middle Eastern equivalent of MacGyver, so like Muhammad MacGyver.
MacGyver Muhammad.
Right. So he takes it into class. He shows his engineering teacher. His engineering teacher says, "NBD, that's cool, but I'm not impressed. You're 14 years old." He then shows his English teacher, and the English teacher, like me, Mike, I'm assuming like yourself, I'm assuming like most of our listeners, do not know the difference between a homemade clock and a homemade bomb, because I don't.
See, I'm wondering, but before this was turned over, he was arrested technically, wasn't he? Or he was detained or something.
Yeah, he was actually in handcuffs. He was actually arrested.
Don't you think that his engineering teacher might have vouched for him? They're like, "Hey, what are you doing? That's a clock."
No, see, hey, we're hearing that spin though, because we don't know about at lunchtime when he's telling all of his friends about his bomb briefcase he's brought to school, and that's why he's in trouble.
Well, and he was only doing that to get laid. I mean, chicks love bad boys, and what makes you seem more dangerous than "quote unquote" bringing a bomb to school?
Hey, there's nothing that turns girls on more than a hoax bomb threat.
That's true. You know how I know, Fred? Because I never started a hoax bomb threat in high school. Ergo, I never got laid in high school.
See, we have the more we come together, the more we have in common, Mike, because I've never threatened to anything with a bomb. And because of that, I had to do it the old-fashioned way, which was, like tears and begging.
Right, true, and paying for it once you turn 18. But yeah, of course. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I'm unshameful. So
yeah, well, you shouldn't be. You shouldn't be shameful, because then you live your whole life in shame. But obviously the big debate right now was, okay, was this profiling, or was this a product of these new zero tolerance rules that schools have in place? Now, and people think it has to be one or the other. Much like anything else in life, it's both. I mean, look, I saw the pictures. It looked like a bomb, but Ahmed Muhammad, I'm sorry, he is he's a Middle Eastern descent. So I'm thinking that a little from column A, a little from column B. And a lot of the people who, there's a big group of people out there, Fred, whenever somebody cries racism, they have a knee-jerk reaction the other way. There's a big group of people out there, anytime something like this happens, they cry racism, and then you get another group of people that will deny racism exists to the end. And, a lot of people are posting these articles about stuff like this happening to white kids. And you know what? Would this have been a big deal if Ahmed Muhammad was a white kid? Maybe not. But I think it was a mix of two. Mix of the two of them. he brought something to school that looked like a weapon. And, oh, by the way, whether it's consciously or subconsciously, they also made the connection that he was of Middle Eastern descent, automatically thinking that, oh, maybe this might be a bomb.
As a dude who works in the public sector and understands how like mandatory reporting works, there's no question about what the original steps, hey, there's something weird going on here step has to be done. That has to be done. That's not even in question. And then everything from there, it gets really kind of iffy for me. I don't love arrest. I'm sorry, Mike. I was going to say, I don't love arresting little kids. And specifically, if you believe it to be a bomb, if you in your heart think this is a bomb, clear out the effing school.
Well, and, I guess I don't put so much of the responsibility on the reporting teacher because you're right, Fred. You see something, say something. You say something looks suspicious. You bring the authorities in. It turns out to be nothing. No harm, no foul. But you would think that the authorities, the Irving, Texas police, would have somebody on staff knowledgeable enough in explosives to look at this thing, or bomb sniffing dogs that wouldn't react to this clock the same way they would to a bomb because it's not a bomb. You think somebody in the chain of the law enforcement command would have realized that this wasn't a threat before they put this 14-year-old kid in handcuffs.
There is Ahmed Muhammad. The odds are already stacked against him, Mike. He's a Middle Eastern kid living in the smack dab middle of Texas. Like, he's got it kind of rough.
And he doesn't play football, so.
Oh, he doesn't play football at all?
I'm guessing. But that could just be me profiling as well.
And I think, and this kid's maybe 105 pounds soaking wet, so I don't even know what he would do on the field.
Punter, maybe.
And I'm going to go bigger picture with you, Mike, right here, because the President of the United States picked up on this story, and he invited Ahmed Muhammad to the White House, all part of Ahmed Muhammad's bigger plan, get to the White House and bring a bomb. It's over. He's used social media and our PC correctness to sneak into the White House with a bomb. We are all done for. Congratulations, Ahmed. You fooled the entire internet except for me. I'm on it here on the way in.
Hook, line, and sinker, Mr. President. Well, I love that. I love all the outrage about the president inviting Ahmed Muhammad to the White House. You're like, if he was a white kid, the president wouldn't be inviting him to the White House. Well, there's a good chance that if he was a white kid, he might not have been arrested for bringing something that looked like a bomb to school.
I don't have a lot of hobbies, and when I was a kid, I definitely didn't have a lot of hobbies. But the ones I had did not involve making clocks. They involved girls, and they involved like the option to find more girls. Yeah, and I feel like that's where Ahmed Muhammad has been failed.
Yeah, but I mean, you know what they say? Nerds inherit the earth, and it's absolutely true. If I were ever tapped for one of those "It Gets Better" campaigns, I would say, look, I know it seems important now, but high school means nothing. It really means nothing. And the people who don't socialize a whole lot, the people who spend their spare time becoming smart enough to, I don't know, MacGyver a clock out of, what was it, like a toothpick and a toothbrush, whatever the hell he fashioned it out of. Those guys are going to grow up and make bank. And that's when you get the money, and then you get the women.
Oh, I see what you're doing. Yeah. Well, just kind of like my final thought on it. And first, I don't even know how to make a clock, so I'm not saying he's the best. I don't know. I simply don't. But
could have been a crappy clock. That could be buried in all of this.
Well, yeah, absolutely, Mike. Like it could have been a laughable clock. Let's not say he's great at anything because we don't know. It could have been a failed disaster. But I know when I was in 8th grade, I wasn't trying to impress any teachers because that was lame. This kid is lame. This whole situation is lame, and he's going to get to the president.
Well, and actually, he had to put up with some fear and embarrassment of being arrested in front of his classmates, of being a minority in America arrested by the police. That turns out poorly for a lot of people. But now that he's out on the other side, this kid's got it made. He's been invited to the White House by the president. He was offered a full ride scholarship to space camp, and some lawyer's probably going to come along, sue the pants off the school district, sue the pants off the police department, and this guy's going to have a lot of money to invent some really cool shit.
Did Elian Gonzalez have it made?
No, but Elian Gonzalez wasn't smart enough to build a clock.
Just as far as like little kids who get arrested like unfairly, this is like the exact same story during a slow news period. I do not love the idea of this kid going on to do anything great. He's going to get a ton of attention, not know what to do with it. Cool move by his parents buying pizza for the media, but I'm not. It's not. This is nothing to me. This is a non-happening unless he gets to the White House, and so then I'm crossing my fingers for some excitement.
Wait, so are you? And this might get us on. This might get you on the watch list. Yeah. Are you hoping that he gets to the White House and causes havoc?
No, I was hard no. I mean, let's define havoc, okay? Let's do
well, I got to choose my words wisely because although having the NSA listening to our show would be a big boost in ratings, I don't want to be surveilled. So are you? What are you hoping happens when Ahmed Muhammad gets to the White House?
I'm hoping in a Jack Bauer 24 style like intervention that it is exposed at the very last moment, that no one is harmed, but that there's a lot of excitement. That's kind of what I'm going for.
So you're hoping this 14-year-old kid is exposed as a fraud?
He is the face of this. Is actually in this whole thing, and I didn't want to say anything because I had heard this whisper. It is actually Fox shooting a brand new season.
Oh, look, now they're tapping my phone.
Right.
I'm going to put that on silent.
That's
yep.
what. That's right.
Yes. All right. Have the helicopter outside my house in 40 minutes.
I don't know. I don't know how well that translates, but yeah, this is a nuts thing to me, Mike. And the people who take these things and run with it, they took it and ran with it, and it got a lot of exposure real quick.
Well, here's the thing. I think a side note in all of this, I've been hearing my anti-establishment friends saying for years that public school isn't really there to teach you critical thinking skills. It's there to teach you how to conform and be a cog in the system.
Sure.
And I think if anything, this is evidence of that, because this kid thinks outside the box. He takes it upon himself to build a clock out of nothing. And this English teacher sees that you have a free thinker stepping out of line, and she calls the fuzz on him, or he calls the fuzz on him.
The fuzz should not say to the kid, "So what's up? You trying to make a bomb?"
Right. Well, Ahmed Muhammad wasn't trying to make a bomb. Trying to make a clock. So you think that this is being overblown? That's the point you're getting at.
Yeah, that is absolutely the point. Handled poorly and I don't know if you've been to Texas, man. They got a lot of guns in Texas. They pull them out all the time. This is how they handle stuff. If this news never left Texas, it wouldn't be that weird to me. But yeah, I don't know, man. There's nothing to it. There was a couple jokes in my opinion, but this Ahmed Muhammad, he's going to go on to do just really regular things and be a really regular dude, and no ifs or buts. This thing's dead now.
Okay, I don't know. Like I said, I think he's got a lot of lawsuit money coming his way, and he's really smart. So maybe he'll invent a way to take down Zuckerberg.
Hey, that would be the worst. So they're going to sue the school district, and then the school district is going to have to cancel dance because they can't afford it now. So now there's the real travesty. There's the real problem, Mike. These girls can't compete at competition.
Yeah. Well, guess what? High school kids are turds, so who cares?
Oh yeah, forget them.
All right, we got to take a quick break. Speaking of turds, we'll touch on the debate coming up. It's the weigh-in, weighinradio.com, caveradiobroadcasting.com. And we're clear.
Hey, good job.
Thanks. You did a good job too. There was a couple times where I felt like, do you ever start talking and then in the middle of talking, you're like, what was my original point?
It happened with my Elian Gonzalez thing.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And then you remember your point and you're so far away from your point that you have to struggle to find a way to get back to your original point.
That, my friend, is called circling the wagon.
Yeah. That happened to me about 3 times that last segment.
It's because it's a ridiculous story.
Yeah.
It screams to me slow news week. That's what it screams to me.
Yeah. Well, I think the kid was wronged, but like I said, he'll come out on top. Okay.
You know what he will do? He'll learn to be more normal.
Maybe. Or maybe he'll just get more pissed off. Okay, I'm going to come in talking about the debates, and then maybe we'll talk about this comedian who lied about 9/11.
Up. And I'm real big on Pete Davidson lately, so that would work.
Yeah, right, because Pete Davidson fired back. Pete Davidson has tragically had a big week.
Yeah, he's white hot right now.
Yeah. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Now, back to the weigh-in.
I'm a little worried about being a slut.
WeighInRadio.com.
Fred, did you watch any of the CNN debate the other night?
Nope, busy.
Good. Well, I don't think you missed much. The first debate, everyone was real charged up for, and the CNN debate, it polled good numbers, but it was terrible television. And if a month ago I had to put a bet on whose debate would have been the bigger dog and pony show, I would have definitely put it on Fox News. But Fox News, Fox News was able to create controversy. Perhaps it was deliberate, but they executed it. The CNN debate, it seemed like they were trying really hard to create controversy, but they just couldn't. The moderator was a guy named Jake Tapper.
Oh, he's terrible.
Oh, he was awful. He was the worst. The first question, Fred. Bobby Jindal, who he wasn't even in the debate. He was in the loser debate. The debate for people who have no chance. They said they asked this to was it Carly Fiorina? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
You hate her?
No, I don't know. Last night was me learning about her. I don't know yet.
Well, she actually won the last loser debate and moved up. But Jake Tapper asked her, Bobby Jindal, a guy who's not even in the picture, said that he's uncomfortable with Donald Trump having his fingers on the nuclear codes. Are you comfortable with Donald Trump having his fingers on the nuclear codes? And I'm like, this is a stupid question. It's a hypothetical. And all night, all he was trying to do was get the candidates to throw mud at each other. Every question, Fred, was, this candidate said this about you. Turn to him and tell him why he's wrong. It was like being a high schooler in Abed Muhammad's lunchroom, and that one turd who would go to other tables and be like, "Hey, you know what Fred said about you? Fred said that you suck at baseball," and then he goes back. It was exactly like that. So you didn't miss a thing.
The part that kind of like I'm a little weird about is you get what could be the future leadership of the country, right? You put them in one place, and there are a lot of really pressing issues, and the event goes on, and CNN ups their ad sales by about $1 billion a second, which we can get into, which is super dirty. But the only thing people are talking about is like the hot guy in the first row.
Right? Yeah, I know. Well, that's us. That's why we can't have nice things, Fred.
Yeah, we run this whole thing, and the hashtag on Twitter is not like it's not Trump 2016. It's not GOP or bust. It is hot guy in the first row. And I might be paraphrasing. I don't know exactly what it was. But whenever you leave these things, and I feel like you know less than when you went in, well, you're in trouble, man. We are not executing this correctly.
Fred, you're absolutely right. And I discovered this when I first started following politics. A lot of people think that the more informed you are, the easier your decision is. But the more informed you are, the more you don't want any of these people as our next president, and the harder it is to make a decision.
I think it's tough during like this debate, specifically this one, with a guy like Tapper, who in all essence should be a moderator. He should just be throwing out questions, but I feel he's like egging them on. I feel he's like, I feel he's like instigating, just like you said, where it's like, oh, hey, that's a really good point, Donald Trump. Like, where the heck are you at, Rubio? And you're like, what? Why are you picking on Rubio, man? Trump's over here flirting with this girl. Stop it.
I was waiting for Jake Tapper to say, "Oh, sick burn, suck that, Ted Cruz." But you're absolutely right. And John Kasich, he's a guy who, he's way in the back of the pack. Ohio's governor. But within the first 15 minutes of the debate, maybe it was the first half hour, I don't know, the thing went on forever. He came out and said that. He's like, look, I feel like you're just trying to start fights amongst the candidates. And he said, if I'm watching this at home, I'm turning it off. And Jake Tapper got really butthurt. But I think somebody needed to give him that dose of reality, because what CNN did is what Fox News usually does, and what Fox News is normally accused of, and all the other news networks act like they're above it all. CNN, it seemed like they went down to Fox News's pigsty, and they just started digging with a shovel even deeper. They were trying to out Fox News. And if I were CNN, I would be embarrassed. I really would.
It would be tough for me to be, because I'm not saying we're at that level, right? We don't work for ABC. We don't work for CNN. We're not elite. We're in our basements. But if I go to Twitter after the GOP debate last night and I'm Tapper and I start reading, I also really start second guessing a lot of things in my life because I'm doing it wrong. I have no approval from anyone in the whole world, period. Like that, you struck out, dog. Like, you're not going to get another one. Like,
yeah. And if you're CNN, you can't have him debate again. But going back to hot guy in the front row, Fred, people love to beat up on the media, and a lot of times it's deserved because, the NBC News has done a lot of shady stuff, and they used a lot of fear tactics and fear mongering. But hashtag hot guy in the front row going viral. That's 100% us. You can't. We say that we want substance. We say that we want information and no fluff. But what's trending after the debate? Any foreign policy decisions? Anything about the minimum wage or legalized marijuana or dealing with Iran? No, it's hot guy in the front row.
Gregory Caruso is hot guy in the front row. And if he wasn't there last night, neither was my wife, neither was half the watching female audience in the country, neither was anyone on Twitter, because he was the only thing that really trended successfully last night. If you put him up on stage and ask him Donald Trump questions, Tapper, he's going to poll way better after tonight. He's going to be the Linda of Florida. Carly.
Yeah, right. Actually, I think he's the GOP front runner, is that guy. And his running mate's going to be ridiculously photogenic running guy. Remember him?
The marathon guy.
Yeah.
That guy. Yeah, no, that guy. Yeah, that guy. See me running, see me hating. Like, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, screw that guy. But one thing that I get tired of when it comes to election season, and it seems like this election season has already gone on forever, and we're still more than a year out, is when celebrities start weighing in on who they're going to vote for. Because I don't care. But, Fred, we were talking about non-stories that people run with last segment. And this is a perfect example because, like, in a locker room interview with Tom Brady, a reporter asked, what do you think of Donald Trump becoming president? And Tom Brady, being an athlete, being a savvy athlete, he didn't really give a strong opinion. He said, oh, that would be great. And now it's all over the place. Oh, Tom Brady is voting for Donald Trump. Tom Brady endorses Donald Trump for president. And then I see all these people, oh, screw that guy. I'm done with Tom Brady. I mean, most of they're probably Patriot haters anyway. But I just love how when people disagree on, they find one thing they disagree with someone on, they're going to write them off. I mean, they stuck through Tom Brady through the whole Deflategate thing, and all these other things that have been coming out about Tom Brady lately. And the thing that makes them write him off is that he might vote for Donald Trump.
Well, and maybe he's getting written off by the rest of but there's millions of fans in Providence or Boston or whatever that say, hey, do you hear about him and Noma? They're going to vote for Donald Trump, so I'm going to vote for Donald. He's my guy. He's my winner. And no, I mean, and that's how this works. CNN's charging $200,000 for a 30-second ad last night, right?
Holy crap! That's Super Bowl. That's Super Bowl money almost.
That's crazy, man. They're making so much money, and that's great for advertisers. And if Procter & Gamble wants to put their soap on there, I love it. But the money involved in this thing is so astronomical. For instance, that Caruso kid we were just talking about, his dad's a bazillionaire, man. He basically funded all of Schwarzenegger, like running for governor in Arizona or in California. But if I'm a candidate, what I'm really doing is I'm not wasting my time in these debates, man. I'm giving Tom Brady $200,000 to tweet about me. I'm giving LeBron James $500,000 to tweet about me. I'm giving the Kardashians whatever they want in the cabinet. You sit right here, Courtney. Home girl.
My secretary of dad ass.
That is how I'm winning this debate. I'm winning it on Twitter, just like old Barry Obama did last time. But I'm doing it with star power.
That's smart. And you know, the person who's going to win this debate, I'm sorry, this election is going to win it like Barack Obama did in 2008. They're going to find something that is that's all over the place that people haven't tapped into. It seems like all the other politicians really are still playing catch up from 2008. Really, Barack Obama, I wouldn't say he won the election because he was the only candidate who knew how to YouTube and tweet, but it gave him an edge. And now every single candidate probably has a team of social media experts, aka their nephew and their friends who know how to use Twitter. And I mean, you've seen it, of course, you know, not a whole lot of talk about Bernie Sanders lately because he's not a Republican, so he hasn't been in these debates, but I guess he's attracting record crowds for this stage in the game. And he's the only president. Well, it's probably not him. But his team
candidate.
Yeah, presidential candidate. But his team is the only one who know how to Reddit. And I guess that's how he's pulling in all his crowds.
I guess I hear what you're saying, and I think it works for that specific crowd. And I do think that crowd votes. I think that crowd comes out and they cast their one vote. But as we sit here in middle of September, and we're a year and a half out from it, and all I want to do right now is talk about my fantasy football team. You're coming at me way too soon. You're coming at me way too hard. You're going to burn me out, Donald. You're going to burn me out, whoever, Sanders. You got to just pump the brakes slightly. Like, let me take these things in small doses. Let me take these things as I want to take them, and then I'm gonna come around in June. In June, I'm gonna know what's going on. But right now in September, I do not have time or interest to go to a record-breaking rally. I do not have time or interest to watch 3 hours on Fox News when I could be watching the South Park premiere. I do not have time for these things because it's just too freaking soon.
By the way, that South Park premiere, talking about Tom Brady, I guess he made it. Well, not he, but he was a focal point of last night's episode.
It was the best episode of South Park I've ever seen in the entire history of the show.
South Park's one of those things that whenever I watch it, I enjoy it, but I've never actually sat down and made it a point to watch South Park.
We're not the show that like summarizes other shows and like just gives like full on recaps. But the basic premise behind the episode was they had a bunch of like PC police come in. They put a new PC principal in the school, and they told everyone how if they're not politically correct, that they're going to beat their ass. I thought that is just the perfect description of what we are going through right now. If you are not politically correct enough, then you're going to suffer the wrath.
I mean, that's true, but a lot of people justify a lot of heinous behavior as quote unquote raging against political correctness. I think that there's political correctness, and then there's just calling people out for being assholes, and I don't think we've learned how to delineate between those two.
Well, it's like you were saying earlier with Amir Muhammad, like there's a little bit in this hand, there's a little bit in this hand, and in the middle is where you make your decision on what you're coming to do. So if you can take some political correctness and use it to be an asshole, you're going to do that. Or if you can take some political correctness and use it to stop assholes, you're probably also going to do that. So
right.
Good. Those guys are so funny.
Well, yeah, and it's funny because it seems like sometimes comedy is the only place where people have the balls to speak out against something. I think some of the best political analysis has come from South Park episodes. What was it? You have a it was an election episode where you have a choice between what a douchebag and a turd sandwich.
Right.
I mean, it was disguised as stupid humor, but it was actually really funny and insightful. Obviously Jon Stewart, who just stepped down, his show started off with just him making fun of the news. But then, he found an audience where I felt like he made fun of both sides, but he got a reputation as being more liberal. Maybe he was. I didn't watch that show all the time. And when Saturday Night Live is hitting too, it seems like sometimes comedy is almost it's almost the voice of reason because there's safety. There's safety in saying outrageous stuff, hiding behind the comedic genre, so to speak.
Well, and parody is such a powerful thing. And we were talking about it a little bit off air last week. But how if you take a situation that people can relate to and you just infuse through their viewpoint, like a twist or an angle or maybe like a thought they hadn't had yet, that's when people process those things, right? So whenever you are Saturday Night Live and you have a guy who can play a spot on Barack Obama, you're going to have really good Saturday Night Live episodes because of that, because that's what people can relate to. Now, if you're doing the exact same thing and it's not funny and there are no jokes and there's no medium, there's no middle to where you can break the severity of the situation. Like this we're telling you, what we're telling you is important. What we're telling you is serious, but we're telling you in a way where you can laugh about it and think about it. And that's the seed that's planted, I think.
It's non-threatening and non-confrontational. And in some of the more intelligent social commentary that I've seen when I've caught South Park, they seem to do a good job of making fun of both extremes. They're balanced. I'm not sure if they did that at last night's episode, but when I've seen it, it seems like they do a great job of because Fred, when it comes to stuff like this, when it comes to controversies, normally it's the viewpoints you hear are extreme on this side and extreme on that side. The moderate middle kind of goes unheard. And South Park does a great job of poking holes in both extremes.
Well, and I think it's for the instance last night is, I think Caitlyn Jenner is perfectly fine, right? I do not think she's a beautiful, inspirational angel. I do not think that. She doesn't inspire me. But I feel like her doing her own thing is cool, but I'm not going to hold it against anyone else if they don't feel that way. If you're freaked out by it, or if you love her more than anything, or if you're indifferent to him, a little bit like I am, I'm not mad at you, bro.
Right. Yeah. It's like people think that in order to not be one extreme, you have to be the other extreme. You're exactly right. A lot of people saw the backlash against Caitlyn Jenner and says, "Oh, well, I think that's a little extreme." I'm going to pretend that Caitlyn Jenner is the most heroic human being who's ever lived, and those people go overboard. So I'm hoping that South Park poked fun at both of those last night.
And they have, it's that balance you talked about. So like I say, if you find it on your DVR, do whatever. It's a little look, but as far as social commentary goes, the show's great. And I don't watch it regularly, and I probably should because I'm kind of plugged into this stuff. But it's fun, and it makes fun of things that I think need to be made fun of, because if you don't, then people don't talk about them.
It's the Weigh-In, WeighInRadio.com, CaveRadioBroadcasting.com. All right, man, this is flying by here.
What do we got left? I should put up a timer. I don't know why I don't.
That's okay. Let's see. It's 49, so we're gonna be out at 57, so that I can add the stuff. Okay. Let's see. You want to quarterback this one, or you want me to?
I can do it.
Okay. Because I have a few things, but if you have something that
what do you got? I can probably go on some of that stuff.
I was going to talk. I've got Steve Ranazisi. I've got a Nicole Arbor update. I've got a guy. I've got people pissed off that they weren't able to get the Olive Garden pasta pass.
Okay. Yeah, let's just do potpourri. I love this.
Okay. Are you sure you don't want to quarterback it?
Yeah, I will. Yeah. I'll lead. You follow.
Okay. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Let's go 8 or 9 minutes. Here we go.
Now, back to the weigh-in.
I've been on the radio quite a bit, but I want to do it like as a part-time thing. Not to make money, but because I love hearing myself on the radio.
WeighInRadio.com.
So that, Mike, is when I told him I wouldn't come back today, but I would think about it in the future.
Yeah, and that's the worst shrinkage story I've ever heard.
There's one story in the news right now that I think is slightly worse, Mike.
Really?
and you're gonna have to help me because I don't speak Italian. Okay, I'm not an Italian man. I do enjoy pasta. I think originally the Slows are from Britain.
Is is slows a pasta?
No. So it means by the slough. It's British. Don't worry about that. So Steve Rannazzisi. See, I'm already blowing it. Maybe is it Eastern European? Is it? I don't know what this is.
I think that is Italian. You're talking about Steve Rannazzisi,
who you know better as the tall one from the league.
Right, and I think he's in some Buffalo. Well, he was in some Buffalo Wild Wings commercials. I'm not sure if he's going to be anymore.
Well, they pulled those. Those have been pulled. Those
And
are
why?
officially gone.
And why were they pulled?
Well, here's why. Great question, Mike. My camera just fell. So the reason they were pulled, Steve moving forward, he did the Mark Maron show. I don't know, like 5-6 years ago. You might have to help me with some dates.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
He said on Mark Maron show, "Hey man, I dodged 9/11. Like I just barely dodged it. Like I was there. I was on like the 50th floor. I took the boat over from Long Island, whatever. I was working for Merrill Lynch, but for real, I made that whole story up, and I'm going to admit it today because lots of other people have asked me about it, and I'm tired of living a lie."
Right. So, and this guy's career has been taken off. I mean, this could not have been uncovered at a worse time. I think this Saturday he was supposed to have a stand-up special on Comedy Central, and Mark Maron believed it because why the hell would somebody lie about that? And I'm wondering that too. I mean, did this guy's career take off because of the 9/11 story? I kind of have a feeling that it really didn't have much to do with his career because, number one, Fred, I'd never heard of the guy before earlier this week. And number two, after hearing his name, that was the first time I heard about him being escaping September 11th. I would think that if the September 11th story helped his career, I would have heard about him a long time ago. And the first thing I would have heard was about his brush with death on that fateful day.
It's a tough spot because, well, and I guess I don't really know how to analyze it because I'm thinking like war heroes. I'm thinking like, is this stolen valor? Is that what this is?
I think in a way it is. Obviously, it's I'm not sure if he could be prosecuted because he wasn't. I mean, September 11th, you could say it was a war zone because it was an act of war, and there was the danger aspect was there. But I guess he wasn't saying that he fought overseas, but. Yeah, that's a good question. I guess, at least in the court of public opinion, you could say it is stolen valor.
So it's more akin to like a Brian Williams, right?
Yeah, but I would say this is a little bit more of a... I want to say this is a little more heinous of a lie, but I can't really explain why. So yeah, I guess I would say it's closer to Brian Williams than it would be... to stolen valor out on the battlefield, but maybe it's not.
I guess I don't understand the psychology behind it. We talked last week about 9/11, and if this is the first time listening, go back and listen to last week's show. I thought it was excellent. But is there a ton of value, I guess, in self-promotion? I guess I'm not sure. Are you trying to grab? I'm not sure what you're trying to do behind this story. Like what is the difference of you injecting yourself into the 9/11 tragedy than just telling the truth that you watched it like 350 million other Americans? Like I don't understand the value.
Yeah, see, and that's what I was wondering. Has this really helped his career? What advantage does this get him except maybe getting lucky with some gullible chick at closing time? I don't know. It could just be sometimes, Fred, people are just mentally ill and they say things. Perhaps he's a comedian. Maybe he loves to have the attention on him. Maybe he loves having the attention on him to the point of a mental illness. I don't know. I mean, sometimes I just think you can't rationalize people's thought processes because they make no sense. Something's broken in their brain.
I do this kind of for a living, and you do this kind of for a living, and I've never let the facts get in the way of a good story.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
But
I will embellish and I will stretch and I will take things to the point to where you can kind of create your own conclusions. But I'm not actually coming out and saying I was in 9/11. Like I'm not with you, Steve. I'm not feeling you. I like that you apologized, I guess.
well,
but
see, but the thing is,
what's the point there? What I don't.
well, because I think the New York Times, it was some news publication that discovered it, and when he was asked about it, he folded like a deck of cards. Which finally, that's the first smart decision he made because usually they say the cover up is worse than the crime, and he apologized. But as the old cliche goes, he apologized because he got caught. He wasn't sorry that he did it. He didn't come clean about it until he was called out. And Fred, I think in our society, it's easy to come back from scandal, but I don't think he's going to be able to come back from this scandal because number one, there's not okay. I'm trying to think of the most recent scandal. Who is it anyway? Usually there's something you can defend about what this person did.
So like a Jared Fogle.
No, not Jared Fogle. God, I was thinking about this earlier.
You can't really defend him because that's like a super heinous situation.
Yeah. Name someone else who was embroiled in controversy lately.
Like recent controversies?
Oh, okay, Bill Cosby. There's people defending Bill Cosby because there's a very slim chance that these women are falsely accusing him. So, there's a shadow of a doubt.
Okay. I like that, but we're still talking about heinous crimes. Let's go super relevant. Let's go Joy Behar.
Okay.
Okay.
With the nurses thing, right?
Yeah, so Joy Behar on The View says some things that are pretty dumb. They're just dumb things. You shouldn't say nurses don't use stethoscopes unless you're dumb. I mean, that's a dumb thing to say.
Especially when most of your audience is women and most nurses are women.
Right. So she's going to be able to bounce back. She's going to be fine. Like, I don't feel like that's going to be like ever encumbering to her career.
Well, plus she was famous. She was famous to begin with. This guy was just getting famous. And he got more famous by being an idiot who told this lie about being in a September 11th.
I'll tell you what I think hurts him a lot is Pete Davidson. So he's a comedian. He's in the exact similar field. He's same skill set, man. He's a stand-up guy who does sketch. He's basically the same dude minus maybe 10 years.
Right.
But he has a 9/11 story.
Yeah.
Like his family was affected directly. His father was killed. That's where I think he's going to get caught up because not only is he stealing and doing and lying and doing these terrible stories, but he's doing it like literally in the face of like a colleague. And I think that's the part that's going to bite him in the ass.
Yeah, and like I said, I think even Chris Brown has bounced back, and he was the most. But Chris Brown was already famous to begin with, and I don't know. I don't think anybody was defending Chris Brown, but I guess you can kind of rationalize that he learned from his mistakes and he's rehabbed. But this is something that it's 14 years later. It's still a sore spot. It's going to continue to be a sore spot as long as there's a big group of people alive that remember that day. And I think that this is a guy who's done. And I don't say I feel bad for him, but
yeah, I agree. He's Brian Williams. It's over.
All right. Speaking of over, so are we. We will be back next week. WeighInRadio.com, CaveRadioBroadcasting.com. Bye, Fred.
Yeah, good job, GG.
All right. Love you. Bye.